Concept of value and return. Concept of value and return is a very important topic those who are doing MBA finance, BBA finance and MCOM. Let's understand what is concept of value and return. The concept of value and return is about financial decisions that affect the firm's cash flows. Cash flow means cash outflow, cash inflow in terms of different time periods. So whenever a finance manager makes decisions about the fund's cash flow and inflow, usually he makes three decisions. The first decision is to fix asset purchase. Whenever a finance manager make a decision to purchase fixed asset, that involves cash flow immediately, but in future, in return, it gives you cash inflow in forms of selling finished goods produced through plant, machinery, and the land. And the second most important decision is borrowing funds. Whenever we borrow funds, we get the immediate funds inflow, but in form of principal repayment and interest repayment, we make the cash outflows. Third and the important decision is issuing equity share. Whenever we issue equity share, we get immediate funds inflow, but in form of dividend, what we do? We make future outflows. Why? Why there is a need to compare the cash inflow and outflow decision made by the finance manager? Because always cash flow decision should be logical in terms of timing and risk associated with those decisions. Also, the time value of money should be understood by a finance manager whenever he makes decision about the finance cash inflow and outflow. He needs to understand a rupee earned today or a rupee point 10 earned after 1 year with interest is important, or a rupee earned today, it is more important, where the risk is associated more. Always objective of a financial decision, a sound financial decision is to wealth maximization of a shareholder. What is wealth maximization of a shareholder? Market value of the share should always be increased. That is the net present value. Net present value should always be positive. Let's understand the few more techniques of concept of value and return. The first is required rate return method. Required rate return method is about how at what percent we are going to commit our funds. So let's say we commit rupees 100 for 1 year, and after 1 year we get rupees 105 at the rate of 5% interest. So the risk free rate is 5%, which we are getting additional after the completion of 1 year as rupees 5 interest. But the finance manager says no, I want at least 20% return on my investment. So that is another 15 rupees is a risk premium. Another 15% is risk premium. Whereas at at the rate of 5% there was no risk associated or no risk free rate, but the demand of the finance manager is of additional 15%. So the risk free rate plus 15% risk premium becomes 20%. So the expected return from a finance manager is rupees 120 by the end of the 1 year. So this is again stated, no risk involved for the risk free rate, and risk premium is extra return demanded for taking a risk, committing funds. Otherwise, finance manager will can say, yes, I can use rupees 100 today because 105 is not viable, is not rational for me. So this is the concept required rate return, where the required rate return is decided by the finance manager to committing his funds for the specific period of time and taking the risk to commit his fund. Now the second method, future value compounding method. This is a method to calculate commitment of funds not for 1 year, for 1, 2, 3, 4 till n number of years. Basic concept of this calculation of compound interest. Let's say a finance manager takes a decision to invest rupees 100 for 1 year, and he gets rupees 10 additional as interest by the end of financial year. But when we recommit this fund for another 1 year, so the principal becomes 110. and the same rate of interest 10% he gets for another 1 year, then he earns additional 10% interest, that is rupees 11. So for the third financial year his principal becomes 121. So this is basically a concept of calculating the compounding interest for the successive year, which is also stated over here, interest earned on principal. The principal was rupees 1, the interest earned was rupees 0.1, and the for the next year the principal become rupees 1.01, which will be reinvested for the next year. Another methods of future value and returns. The first is future value of an annuity, second is sinking fund, and third is present value. The future value of an annuity. Annuity is nothing but basically investment of same amount after a regular interval. Like we have invested rupees 100, 100 and 100. First 100 at the starting of year 1, second 100 at the beginning of year 2, and third 100 at the beginning of year 3rd. So on the first 100 which we have invested at the beginning of year 1, we are going to earn interest for 3 financial year on compounding rate at the rate 10%. So the total interest we are going to earn for the first invested rupees is 33.1. Like we have earned the interest rupees 10 for 1 year, 11 for second year, and 12.1 for the third year. The total is 33.1. And for the rupees 100 which we have invested at the beginning of year 2, we are going to earn interest for 2 years, 10 and 11, 21. And the rupees 100 which we have invested at the beginning of third year, we are going to earn only the 10%, rupees 10. So the total interest which we are going to get is 33 plus 21 and the 10. Total is 64.1. The second concept is sinking fund. Sinking fund is nothing just to uh, create a amount which we needed after the investment of funds at a certain rate for a certain period of time. Like let's say if we want rupees 21,875 for 4 year at this rate of 6%, then how much we should invest yearly. So applying this formula, A is equals to S by I, we get an amount 5,000 should be deposited yearly to get rupees 21,875 after the completion of 4 year at the rate 6%. The third important concept is present value concept. The present value concept the present value concept convert future cash flow into their equivalent value today. Let's say for 1210 rupees, what will be the present value? We will do nothing, we will just divide with 2 years factor compounding value rupees 1210, and then we get the present value will be rupees 1000. Let's discuss the very important topic of concept of value and return, the net present value method. The net present value method is a very important method because the core objective of a financial decision or a finance manager is to maximize the wealth of the shareholder, to maximize the profit of the firm. The net present value is a method to evaluate how much inflow you are going to get from the different project, and at the net present value should always be 1, which is accepted. It should always be greater than 0, and if it is less than 0, the project will be rejected. And the core work of a finance manager is to rank the project in terms of the net present value they are offering after a certain period of time or during the different time periods. So if you learn this concept, this is going to help you in your managerial life as well as you are going to get at least a one question on net present value. So understand the concept of net present value. Net present value is NPV CF by N 1 plus I bracket close T minus initial investment. Okay, so from a project you are going to get different inflows. Like in this example, the cash flow of investing rupees 500 for year 1, 300 for year 2, 400 for year 3 at rupees 10% interest produces NPV rupees 50, which is profitable. So if it is profitable, then it is accepted. And the net present value means the profitability of an investment project with positive NPV are considered profitable. So whenever the NPV is profitable, then the project is accepted. Let's summarize the concept of value and return once again. Financial management focuses on the maximizing of owner's wealth. What is owner wealth? The market price of equity shareholders, or whatever decision you take involves cash flows at different time and risk. The different time and risk. Whatever decision you make involve cash inflow and outflow at different time and the risk. The time value of money enable a logical comparison of these cash flow. Your time value of money. You need to decide whether the rupees 100 accepted today are more profitable or 105 rupees accepted after 1 year with interest is more profitable, where the risk is minimum, where the profitability is more, where the opportunity cost is high. So that is a decision of a finance manager. Let's discuss again the compounding. Compounding is calculating the interest with principal after every year. Discounting rate translate future cash into present equivalents. Valuation tools which we have discussed: future value, present value, annuity. Future value is calculating the future value on the basis of compounding. Present value is to calculate the present value. What is the present value of a sum at this rate? Annuity is getting every year, like we give every year return, like we give a house on rent. So we get every year or every month the return. Net present value is the core concept of evaluating project in terms of summing of their inflows. When we add all inflows after particular interval, and then we get whether the total average of those inflow is more than 0 or 1, then the project will be accepted, and if not, then the project will not be accepted. Among all capital budgeting techniques, consider all cash flow over the project's life. That is the net present value. The sound financial decision making are those that adjust cash flow for timing and risk, aim at wealth maximization, not merely profit. So the core objective of a finance manager to maximize the owner's wealth, and owners are equity shareholder. So their market price of equity shares should be maximized by whatever decision you take as a finance manager. In whatever project you put your money or whatever decision you make, there should be a outflow and inflow of funds. Through those outflow and inflow, you should maximize the value of the firm. Thank you. Hope you like the session.